Hi friends and companions along this path of spiritual practice. Many of you will recognize this very familiar poem from Thich Nhat Hanh. It's a poem that reveals the insight from Buddhism that no one is separate from the rest of the world, even from those who would do us harm. This poem is called Please Call Me by My True Names. Do not say that I'll depart tomorrow, because even today I still arrive. Look deeply. I arrive in every second to be a bud on a spring branch, to be a tiny bird with wings still fragile, learning to sing in my new nest, to be a caterpillar in the heart of a flower, to be a jewel hiding itself in a stone. I still arrive in order to laugh and to cry, in order to fear and to hope. The rhythm of my heart is the birth and death of all that are alive. I am the mayfly metamorphosing on the surface of the rivers. And I am the bird which, when spring comes, arrives in time to eat the mayfly. I am the frog, swimming happily in the clear pond, and I am also the grass snake, who, approaching in silence, feeds itself on the frog. I am the child in Uganda, all skin and bones, my legs as thin as bamboo sticks. And I am the arms merchant selling deadly weapons to Uganda. I am the 12-year-old girl, refugee on a small boat, who throws herself into the ocean after being raped by a sea pirate. And I am the pirate, my heart not yet capable of seeing and loving. I am the member of the Politburo with plenty of power in my hands. I am the man who has to pay his debt of blood to my people, dying slowly in a forced labor camp. My joy is like spring, so warm it makes flowers bloom in all walks of life. My pain is like a river of tears, so it fills the four oceans. Please call me by my true names, so I can hear all my cries and laughs at once, so I can see that my joy and pain are one. Please call me by my true names, so I can wake up, and so the door of my heart can be left open, the door of compassion. This poem is based on real events. When Thich Nhat Hanh was already in Paris, he and others of the association received news of a 12-year-old girl who was raped by a sea pirate escaping from Vietnam with other families, and in shame threw herself into the ocean. Thich Nhat Hanh remembers being filled with anger and shame and despair, and he found himself unable to go to sleep that night. So he sat in meditation. It was during that meditation that Thich Nhat Hanh saw himself born as a child into a fishing family. And he grew up learning how to work the land and fish the waters, but being poor and desperate. And then one day, as a young fisherman, being told by others that there were people on the boats, and they had jewelry and gold and money with them, and it was a far quicker and easier way to get wealth. And so he became a pirate without realizing that he had become a pirate. And that's when he found himself face to face with poor people on the boat trying to flee the conflict in Vietnam. In the poem, Thich Nhat Hanh speaks beautifully and powerfully to the non-duality of self and other that we have been reflecting on. Non-duality of self and other, which, as I said, is about how skillfully we can do self with other. It is not about some romanticized or mystical fusion or oneness. It is about very much being in this world with self and other, but practicing to do it skillfully, wisely and compassionately. I want to be very practical for today's message. I want to offer a skillful practice of doing self and other. The instructions are very straightforward. The doing of it is far from it. Imagine the other as an island, and it is the self's job, our practice of contacting, of docking our vessels on that island. That island where we will meet the other person and have a chance to ask their true name, and in return be asked to tell my true name. As our vessel sails around that island looking for a place to dock, I wonder what kind of a vessel I am. Often I feel like I'm a speedboat. I got things to do and places to go, and I zip by, and I miss all of the ways that I can dock on that island. I miss the person waving at me and telling me, you can dock here and meet me. What kind of a vessel am I? On certain days, I am a submarine, and I'm underneath the water. I'm all about looking out into a frightening world, but I don't want anyone to know that I'm around. I'm hiding underneath. That makes it pretty difficult to meet one another. On other days, I think that I'm just a dinghy. I'm a tiny little boat, and I'm just floating on the waters, meeting things and people, but I'm usually not really there. I'm not fully present. I'm just a small dinghy. There have been other days where I have seen myself as a battleship. I have my cannons, I have my weapons all lined up, ready to go in case anything or anybody would come close to threatening me. On other days, I realize that I'm just a yacht. I don't really care to engage all that significantly. I just want to have a good time. I'm on a cruise. In fact, the conversation, my mode of being, is on cruise control. And then there are other days when I realize that I'm a sailboat. I have my sail hoisted up. And when I'm a sailboat, I have to pay careful attention to the weather patterns. That's the other thing that I try to bring my awareness. Not only what kind of a vessel am I, but as I'm sailing around trying to dock and meet the other, what is the weather condition? Is it bright with just a little bit of cloud? And I'm searching for the wind, how I can move and sail and find that place to dock and meet the other. But on other conditions, like foggy conditions, I have to make sure that I'm watching very, very carefully. Otherwise, I'm going to actually land on the rocks. I can harm myself or I can harm the other person. I have to make sure that the lighthouse beam is something that I'm paying close attention to because it's really foggy in this weather. And then there are other times when there's a typhoon, there's a hurricane. I may not want to even venture forth in that sort of condition, but sometimes it just comes upon me when I'm sailing and trying to look for a place to dock and meet the other. There's a storm, and it may mean that I take down my sail, that I don't give anything out there that might get caught in that stormy, topsy-turvy weather. I'm watching for the weather conditions, and sometimes it's the doldrums, and I need to do everything that I can to bring some energy and movement, a gust of a breeze, something to energize my meeting with the other. Friends, as we practice this non-duality of self and other, as Thich Nhat Hanh reminds us, our practice holds the promise of having us wake up, to dock our vessels on the island of the other, for the self and other to meet. And if we can stay awake, if we can practice bringing the light of awareness, then we can keep the doors of our heart wide open, this door of compassion. And so, friends, as we continue in our non-dual practice of self and other, we continue to meet at meditation.